Okay, and maybe while people are coming in, let's get the old presentation shared. So thank you, everybody. As people start to come in, we're just going to give a few minutes here for more people to make their way into the room, and then we will get to going. So in the meantime, enjoy this lovely slide, of which there are more to come. Just give it a few seconds. You know this is a big event because I went out and got a haircut, finally. Just for this. It's like, there's no way I'm gonna do journalism wrong and come with my awful floppy nonsense that I had about 2 hours ago. My haven't got a haircut since December hair. Okay, well, more people are still filing in, but in the meantime, we can at least start doing introductions. Thank you all for joining us here today. This lovely afternoon, we're going to chat a little bit about Algonquin College's journalism program. So we have a good amount to cover and about an hour or so to do it. So I won't use too much time up here, but quick introductions. My name is Sean Mcmahon. I am the faculty marketer for the School of Media and Design that houses the journalism program. One thing I'll quickly mention is that after introductions, we'll go through the PowerPoint, which will give you an overview of the program. It won't be too long. And then we're going to open it up for questions and just some casual chats amongst the group. So if you do have any questions, please enter them. You will see a Q&A tool. Please enter any questions that you may have there. If you come up with anything during the presentation and you want to make sure you don't lose that question, absolutely go ahead and enter it, and we will be getting to questions at the end. But don't think that you have to wait to the end to post them. And with that, I will pass it around for introductions, starting with Julie.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Well, not really seeing you. I'm imagining you out there. My name is Julie Mccann, and I'm a journalism professor and the coordinator of the program. And behind me, these are our level 2 going into level 3 Algonquin Times journalism staff. This is as quiet as they'll ever be. So I like to have them up on this picture just like this. I'm looking forward to taking your questions today, telling you a little bit about our program along with my wonderful colleague and one of our wonderful returning students. Thanks, John.
Who wants to go next? Jessica unmuted. Jessica's turn.
I'm ready to go. Hi, everybody. Nice to have you join us today. I teach audio in the radio or in the journalism program. I also teach in the radio broadcasting program. And, you know, I don't want to spoil any of the information I'm going to tell you, but you're going to be friendly with a couple of different programs coming up when you join us, hopefully in journalism in the fall. And behind me, if you haven't been to the campus before, that's the Student Commons. And it is as empty as you'll ever see it. There were a couple of months during the pandemic where it did look that empty, but we're excited that we're going to see you, you know, live in the flesh on campus in the fall. So yeah, that's just to orient you a little bit. But I think maybe I'll pass things over to Adil now.
Hi everyone, I'm Adil Naik, and as Julie said, I'm a returning level 3 now in September. But yeah, I started the journalism program back in September. I did the first half of it online, but now we're all back in live, not on screens, which is pretty cool. And for level 2, the students run the paper that everyone's got in the background behind Julie, and I was managing editor of the college paper. So any questions that you think a student might be better suited to answer, I'd love to share my experience, and that's why I'm here.
Yes, I will doubly highlight that this is a great opportunity to ask not only questions to our amazing faculty, but directly to a student, so you can get that firsthand account of what that experience is like. So absolutely take advantage of this opportunity, come up with some great questions. In the meantime, let's knock out the presentation piece of the session. This, of course, is our journalism program, which is a 2-year diploma program at our Woodruff campus in Ottawa. A few things just to highlight about the program. In 2022, or this year, I guess, if you want to be less formal about it, the Algonquin Times, which is our campus newspaper, won 3 awards from the Ontario Community Newspaper Association's Premier Awards. And this is by no means an isolated incident. The Algonquin Times crushing it on the awards front all of the time. Even previously, this slide had other accounts, and Julie looked at it and went, you know what, now we've won more stuff. So we got to add that in too. Because in 2020, it also won Best Campus News Site in the province, which, little applause there. But, and Glue, which is the Ottawa's first and only magazine for students, is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. And on the side, I won't go through each one individually, but that gives you at least sort of a sense of, you know, if you're wondering, well, once I graduate from the program, what kind of jobs and what kind of careers are waiting for me on the other side? There's just a small taste along the side, and you'll see some of it too connects into what Jessica was saying, that there's going to be a lot more crossover starting soon with the radio broadcasting and radio television, or broadcasting radio and broadcasting television programs, which also have new names, which I should probably, we'll touch on as well. It's got to move our images out of the way because it's blocking the words. So a few things about the program experience. And again, this is a great chance because we have a student here who can tell you all about it, is that you'll be joining a media team as a junior member as part of your mandatory, and there's also a field placement. We should talk about that as well. You'll be learning to report on stories in an accurate, detailed, balanced, professional, and timely manner. I feel like, and this is me going off script, so rein me in if need be, but it's feeling more and more like quality journalism is becoming more and more crucial all of the time, because you're always seeing things about online about, you know, oh, trust your sources and make sure, you know, make sure what you're reading is accurate before you start spreading the word. So I feel like that kind of reporting is so important now in a world where there's just so much stuff being blasted out there, and you got to cut through that noise and get to the actual good stuff. So I feel like that's especially important to highlight. You'll learn how to publish and broadcast content for the designated media platforms, which we'll touch on, I think, a little bit more in a coming slide. And also applying computer and technical skills to research and compile necessary information needed to reach specific audiences. So a few things new for fall 2021, as briefly touched on. So I think this semester, some of the returning students came back, but in the fall, this will be the first time, and Julie is nodding, so I believe I'm correct in saying that level 1 students are going to be returning to campus. We have been since 2020. Obviously, we've been doing the virtual format, but no, it's time. Actually, the program delivery information just went live on our website, I think yesterday, that breaks down how all of the programs in the fall are going to be delivered. And we are happy to report that journalism is amongst those that will be back on campus. So if you have any questions about that, absolutely. And one of the other changes mentioned by Jessica is that students in level 1 are going to be studying alongside, and these are the new names I mentioned, the broadcasting, television, streaming video, and broadcasting, radio, and podcasting programs. So there's going to be in level 1, and there already is a lot of synergy between the programs, but even more so now. There's going to be more opportunity for students in the journalism program to explore those related fields and work together and form those relationships with students in those other 2 programs. And then there are 2 courses exclusive to journalism: news writing and media law, and ethics. I don't know if I necessarily need to read every single word on this. Julie, maybe you can summarize the articulation agreement better, but we do have an articulation agreement with Ottawa U, where once you complete our diploma, you can then apply for admission at the Ottawa U, or at Ottawa U, for an honors bachelor in digital journalism program. So if you go to our website, and once I stop screen sharing and can type a little bit more, look in the chat, which is why we want you to post the questions in the Q&A, because the chat is often going to be used for posting links so you can go get some more information. So if you post questions there along with links, sometimes things get lost. So we want to make sure we don't miss any of the questions. So in the chat, start looking out for, I'll start posting links to things like I mentioned earlier, the program delivery, things like the articulation agreement, anything that we're talking about where you can get more info, we'll try and post links in the chat that you can grab and build a little stockpile of information that you can seek out following the session. And kind of on that subject, we can post these links directly too. If you want to see some of the incredible work the students are doing on the award-winning Algonquin Times website, you can go take a look at algonquintimes.com. You can see the Glue magazine at glueottawa.com, and you can also take a virtual tour of the campus, which has been especially important the last couple of years to get a sense of, you know, the study spaces. But we are starting to open things back up a bit more for on-campus tours. So I'll post a link there in a little bit too. The groups are a little smaller, but there are more opportunities to come into the campus, look around. We have the new recreational facility, which, oof, bowling, rock climbing, all kinds of wild stuff that I haven't fully got to experience yet, but an amazing new addition to the campus that maybe we can talk on a little bit after. But in the meantime, that is all I have for the presentation piece. So we really wanted to keep this, you know, pretty casual. If you have any questions for any of us, like we said, this is a great chance. There's not really any big college events between now and the fall. I think our next big thing is the open house in November. So this is it. This is the chance. If you're, you know, whether you've already applied and you're kind of looking to take those next steps, or if you haven't yet submitted your application, but you're thinking maybe this is the time, let us know what those questions are. And in the meantime, maybe I'll start going around a little bit, posing some questions of my own while people get those gears turning. And we just want to throw out, because one of the things we talked about is how there's going to be some big new changes coming for, oh, I might not have to. Oh, okay, I did see it pop into the chat. So just a quick reminder, because we are going to start flooding that thing with links pretty soon, to post the questions in the Q&A, but we can at least take a look for now. Okay, so because of the recording, this is being recorded, we are going to send it out. I'll try and keep personal information out, but I will just say, I would like to pursue a postgraduate Master's of Arts degree in journalism, whose course program I have noted with great interest. Please guide me through this. And I will open up the floor to whoever feels they want to tackle it.
Hi, Shaw. Great question. So first off, we do have a 1-year diploma or certificate, or a 1-year postgraduate diploma. So someone in your shoes would enter level 3 of the journalism program. So it's not a master's, it's a 1-year, it's a diploma, and it's an expedited diploma. So I will sort of put out, and maybe this is helpful for you too, Sean, this year, 22-23 is the last time we are offering this diploma. It is not because we do not adore our 1-year direct entry students, is what they're called, but it is a grueling, tearful experience for many of them. So, I mean, we'll sort of touch on a little. So I'm going to be really frank with you, Sean, anybody else who might be interested in this. So it's a lot. So basically, not only are you're tossed in the deepest end of the pool, your colleagues and your professors seek to support you to the best of our abilities, but because you've missed that first onboarding year, in terms of all of the new technologies that we now offer in our program, we've found that it's too much. Like, it's just too much. We really like everyone, and we don't mean to torture you this way. So we're offering it one last time because we had to, but when possible, we always like to encourage, and maybe this is something that Otto can speak to, but the folks in our 2-year program, often they're coming to us for sure. Some direct from high school, some are young students, but some, like Otto, are coming to us already with their degrees, with their multiple degrees. So we do have a lot of variation in terms of educational background and work experiences right in our core 2-year diploma program. So that sounds like a mixed message, doesn't it? We do offer it. It's really tough. So we like to put that mention there. So if you have questions, do reach out. I'm happy to talk to you about it further if I didn't really answer with my ramble. But I'll stop talking. Otto, does that make any sense? Jessica, do you have anything to clarify from what I just said there, or if that helped answer our question at all?
If I could just jump in. So, Shah, before I joined the program, I was writing for a magazine for 4 years before I came here, uh, and I thought I was relatively fine with it. Uh, but just in these 2 semesters, it's been such a steep learning curve that to imagine me jumping in straight into level 3, uh, it would be an even steeper learning curve. Like I've I've been on 1 month vacation and it still feels barely enough, right? It's not like the work is difficult, it's just a lot. The advantage of that a lot is that now at this time, a lot of what I'm doing is running just on autopilot, which is a huge plus when you go out. Uh, but as Julie said, it's a tiring program. Uh, so having to directly jump into level 3 and not do the first half of it is basically throwing you off the deep end. And I'm sure there are people who can do it, which is why the program has been going on for so long, the 1 year run. But it's not easy.
Okay, we do have some more questions. Just another quick reminder to make sure to put them in the Q&A. I do see one in the chat. We won't ignore it, don't worry. But okay, I will try and go at least in chronological order. So one of the questions from the Q&A. Hello, thank you all for the presentation. You're very welcome. I have 2 questions. One, are all courses in person or is it half online, half on campus? And 2, I paid the deposit and I keep receiving emails telling me to pay it. I have the receipt. I would say, that's strange. I would say get directly in touch with the registrar's office. You can go to, I'll post the link in the chat, but it's just algonquincollege.com/RO and just let them know the situation and they should be able to help you from there. As for question 1, all courses in person. I don't know if we want to expand on that at all, kind of maybe what that will look like versus what the last couple of years have looked like. You know, obviously on a surface level, it's clear, but if there's anything kind of below that that you want to make sure people know.
Yeah, I'll just go quickly here. Thank you for the great question. We are so pleased and happy to be able to say that we are fully back on campus. So you might have heard Otto mention, we have had our journalism students on campus as of fall 2021. Not our first year, not our level 1 folks last year, which is why you had to experience the fully remote first level. We brought our level 3s and level 4s back right away as soon as we could for some courses. This time through, we're very happy to be able to say that. So for us, if you can imagine, and this is where I will throw it to Jessica, but for us, you can imagine there's so many reasons why being in person makes a lot of sense. We, like everybody else, had to make the change and adapt. And I'm so proud of so in fact, as I'm talking to you all, I'm getting a bunch of texts here from happy 2022 grads. Jessica getting very excited about their convocation in a couple of weeks. Are you attending? I'm lining up my outfit and all that stuff. And so we're excited to watch them across the stage. But perhaps like some of you, those folks have spent 2 years in and out of remote learning, in campus learning, and we're so proud of how they were able to accomplish things and get things done and develop their skills. But man, oh man, are we ever excited to be back on campus. And maybe Jessica can talk a little bit about why, why that is so important for us.
As you can imagine, working in whatever sort of stream of media, whether you're, TV or radio or print journalism, there's so much synergy that comes from just being together. It's funny, in the winter semester, Otto's class, I taught them remotely for the first 7 weeks and then in person for the back half of the semester because we got to go ahead to return on campus. And it's just such a more rich dynamic, being, all together, being able to hear the comments, not having to turn on your mic every time you want to make a comment or something, and all the stuff that passes just sort of, in terms of body language, but also the sharing of ideas. It's just so much more free flowing. And that really replicates so much more what it's actually like in the work world when you're in a newsroom, when you're, working in the field or anything like that. Having those contact is so much more important. And even though we mirrored industry during the pandemic. Industry went remote as well. Industry is going back in person as well now. So people are being brought back into newsrooms and offices and studios and so on. And that will be what your future looks like as well if you join this program. So we're really excited to get people back. I work primarily in the radio broadcasting and podcasting program, but we run 2 radio stations out of the campus. We've got a digital radio station and we have a terrestrial radio station, CKDJ. So you can imagine sitting behind a board and doing your broadcast live in a studio. It's got a lot more to it than, pushing some buttons on your laptop and going live with a USB mic. So I think, I don't know, Julie, if I've left out anything, but joining us back on campus, I think benefits everybody. We did what we had to do, remotely, but I think for the most part, this is a huge advantage for everybody.
Just in case Dan thought he could slip in and not get put on the spot, we have a new person joining us. Dan, would you like to give a quick introduction?
Hi, my name is Dan Polinian. I'm the chair of media studies. So I look after about 15 different programs in this department. So everything from journalism, radio, television, film, PR, brand management, quite a variety. But my background is journalism. So this is near and dear to my heart. And it's interesting. I was just talking with some of the level 2 students that are in the journalism program that are on campus right now. And they really are excited to be back on campus and to see people and to going out and report on things and stuff. So as Jessica was saying, it's, been a lot of forcing people to be remote during the worst of the pandemic. But some of the really best learning comes just hands-on and with the professors. So they really are happy to be back on campus. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Dan. Welcome. I'm going to quickly, so that we don't lose it, I'm going to just to quickly address the question that was in the chat, and then we'll go back to some of the ones in the Q&A. The chat one was, what's the percentage of hands-on experience in the 2-year journalism program?
Well, right away, if you haven't had an experience at a college before or in a 2-year diploma program, we're hands-on right out of the gate. So level 1 is really about getting your foundational skills with your camera, with your audio, storytelling equipment, with your writing, with your reporters, just with basic practice. But right from level 2 on, so 2, 3, and 4, you are producing, you're using your skills to publish the digital and print edition of our Algonquin Times. We're doing contributions with our CKDJ brothers and sisters. We're working with our folks, hopefully, and on project-based work with the TV broadcasting streaming program. So it's sort of integrated into all of your courses. So it's project-based, but it's also, we are responsible for, our workhorse unquestionably is the Algonquin Times in all of its, whatever form that is, if it's written, if it's photography, if it's video, if it's audio, we're serving our community. And so because we have that at the core, at the center of our program, all of the courses feed into it. So what's the percentage? I don't know, Otto. What do you think? You want to put a number to it?
I'd say pretty much all of it, because we did like 2 stories in our first semester that even though it didn't get published anywhere, but you had to have 100% credibility and fact check and all that stuff. And then once we got into level 2, in level 2, everything pretty much felt like everything you learn in the morning, how can I make a story out of it in the evening? Right. So I'd say pretty much all of it. And then in the last semester, when we do go on campus, when we do on placements, that's a full-time placement thing. But even other than that, I
You're not writing
it's too
essays about
entwined.
journalism being interesting or awesome. You're not writing essays about the history of radio storytelling in Canada. Not that that's not super interesting. And I, if anybody wants me to assign you something like that, I'm happy to do it. But that's not what we're doing. Like, we're picking up our wrenches and our hammers and we're using them.
If I could just say, one of our colleagues did come from the Ottawa U program and joined us after that. And I was talking to him, and he was mentioning that the biggest difference he found from that program and the one at Algonquin is that we are doing a lot more of actual going out and writing stories and doing a lot of actual journalism instead of just leaving it at theory, which is what was his experience back at Ottawa U. So he said, I didn't expect to do so much of actual going out and doing the work instead of just studying the work. So
Just
if
to
that
give you an
helps.
idea of what some of that hands-on work might look like, when last fall, was it 3 weeks into the semester, Julie, we had a federal election happen. And so we decided between Julie and I, my audio course and Julie's journalism course, that we were going to put the students through an election lab, we called it. And we had them divided up into ridings in the Ottawa area. We, on election night, we had them out in campaign offices. We put on a radio special hosted by journalism students, and our reporters did live hits into the radio show throughout the night. So that was week 3 of third semester for our students. And that's the type of thing that when you talk about hands-on, it doesn't get much more hands-on than that. People were live tweeting from their locations, and you really get the energy of an election night, but at the college level, and talking about issues that matter to college students and so on. So that would just be one of the things that we do. Adel, you and some of the other students, we did a live interview with the Ottawa-based performer Elijah Woods. Ottawa was live tweeting while another student was doing the interview. He's the performer came up through the music industry arts program in the same area as us at the college. And we also did the same thing with the mayor previous in the same year, right, Julie? I'm not messing things up. So we just like to, give you all sorts of opportunities to do things and, get you out feeling, doing, touching, talking, interviewing, all that sort of thing.
If I could add one thing that, and that's something that all my classmates share the same opinion, that one thing that happens with this doing things bit is you'll see a very sharp change in how confident you are with strangers. Because I remember how hesitant we were to go out and talk to people back when we started in September. To today, where we've all, I won't call it developing a thick skin, but just realizing that at worst someone will tell you no. There are very few, truly bad people, and you will come across them who will be really rude to you. But the vast majority of them at most will just tell you no, and you'll be like, okay, I'll go ask this to someone else. And I feel that is that's a very valuable skill, because you might have the best questions and the best story ideas, but if you can't talk to people about it, it's meaningless, right? Because eventually we are writing for people and we want to write to people. And this doing thing, it just makes you far more accustomed to what you'll eventually end up doing.
And on the doing front, I'm just going to add, because I just answered, it was a great question in the chat about just how, if there's opportunities to tell audio stories for the Algonquin Times or Glue, Jessica, which I know you'll appreciate. And I'd said one of the things, and Adel, you'll appreciate this more, I think, in level 3, where more, our goal is to get everybody to a place, our editorial teams to a place on either format where it's like, what does the story need? The story need an audio treatment? Does it need a printed treatment? Does it need a video treatment? How is it best told? And what you'll experience in level 3 is how can we tell a story using the best of all the media, right? So does a video support the words? Does it support the audio? We do have an Algonquin Times podcast that we do. We do and are looking to formalize, and that is one of the things. And I know, Sean, I think we'll get to it, but with what our new level 1s are going to experience. And maybe I'll digress for a second here and sort of explain. Right. I'm going to throw to Kayla in just a second there. It's wonderful because she's mentioning one of our, so Joel, who will be one of our level 1 professors this fall. So why are we doing what we're doing? So beginning this fall, all level 1 students, you're still journalism students. Like, we're not looking to change that in any way, but what we are doing is blending you for 3 of your courses in with students in TV broadcasting and students in radio broadcasting. And we're doing that to establish relationships, because in the terms that follow, we would love and we will create more opportunities for project work between all these programs and collaboration, because that is where our graduates are going. When we talked about what a multi-skilled graduate, a multi-skilled journalist is, it's someone who can land at a radio station, if they're doing production work. Reporting in journalism is reporting in journalism. It's how do you go on to tell the story? Do you write it? You're reporting for the ear, you're reporting for the eye. Where is it going to live and who is the audience? So we want right out of the gate to establish relationships with your peers, because those folks, we're kind of mushy about it when we call it our Algonquin journalism family, but that's like, and you may not always like them, but they're your family members, and the graduates who've come before you are now part of your family as well. So we want that to include the relationships formed with our radio and TV folks.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. That was just a plethora of amazing information. And it comes down to the answer of what percentage is as hands-on. 100%, which is a great answer to be able to give. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Is there certain technology needed for the program, and what are the specs if so? Who wants to tackle that one?
So the only 2 key pieces of technology, you will need a laptop just to get emails, get access to all that information. And you'll need a camera. You'll need a DSLR camera for that. Those can tend to get expensive, but you could get something like a brand new camera in the $500-ish range. Though it works just as fine getting a used camera, because while you just need the main camera body, the college has some fantastic $2,000-$3,000 lenses that you can borrow to actually use. But yeah, you will need a camera and a laptop.
Okay, I'm giving a second if anyone else wants to jump in. See Julie nodding her head, but
yeah, there's a few. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the questions that you're going to get to.
Okay.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm skipping ahead. I'm like, no. I have to resist.
Can't read ahead.
No, sorry.
It's against the rules.
And I know, and I'm making mayhem too, right? Because I'm talking in the chat and I'm talking in the thing, and I need to be quiet here.
You are a whirlwind of productivity, Julie, that I cannot keep up with.
Sorry. What was the question we're talking about right now? Oh, technology. There are some textbook costs for the fall. They're fairly minimal. As you know, Canadian Press style book, and we do have 2 textbooks, not terribly expensive, but they are used throughout the 4 terms in the program, levels 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know we're getting to it, but we will talk about levels 4. We are talking about 1 and 2 and 3 a lot, but we'll get to 4, a question about 4.
About the textbooks, all the textbooks that we've used so far are not restricted to just your college time. They're pretty much stuff that you can take with you throughout your career. The stuff in them is not something you'll only use here. So yeah, it's a much longer term investment than the 2 years you'll spend here.
Which I think is great information for people to have. So thank you for sharing that piece. Okay, 2-parter question. Would you be able to give us an estimate of the total fees for the program over the 2 years? Also, would appreciate if Adele could give an idea of approximate living expenses on a per week or monthly basis. No pressure, but some pressure.
For the fees, I guess the website has a fee calculator. The biggest difference would be if you're an international student or not. International students pay a huge premium on per term fees. Uh, but I think it works out to close to around $9,500 a term for international students. So that's into four. So you're looking at it about 36 grand. Uh, yeah, so multiply that by whatever currency you're looking at if you're an international student. For domestic students, that's closer to around 3-4 if I'm not mistaken. But if you go to the fee calculator, you'll get an exact estimate on that. As for living costs, your biggest cost is as always going to be rent. The college has its own residence. I'm not sure exactly how much they charge. But a lot of people do end up staying on campus, and the biggest advantage staying on campus is it cuts down your travel time a lot, and they've got meal plans, so your life is like you can just show up with your bags and you're sorted. You don't need to worry about anything else. Uh, a lot of people have found it far cheaper to stay further away. Uh, okay, to give an actual number to it, it would depend obviously on where you're staying. But I'd say, based on whether you're staying alone or you're sharing a room with someone, you could be paying anything from around $500-$600 to around $1,500 a month on rent, based on how much you're splitting with people or if you're staying alone. In terms of other like mandatory monthly expenses, you'll pay about $80 to $100 tops on phone and internet combined. So if you're setting up Wi-Fi or if you're setting up a phone, and this is like if you're staying alone. If you're staying with people, then your internet gets split between however many people you're staying with. Uh, and as Jessica said, public transit is covered in your tuition, which is fantastic because it covers the bus, the metro, the LRT that just come up, which is Ottawa's train system. So it gets you pretty much everywhere. So your transit is fine. You don't have to worry about transit, but rent, internet, phone, and food. That's a very wide spectrum based on whether you're buying proteins or you're just going vegetarian, whether you have a friend who has a car who can take you out and buy in bulk, which makes a huge difference, is what I learned here. Coming from India, it didn't make that big a difference whether you bought it from the corner store or you went out somewhere and bought it. But in a place like Ottawa, if you have a friend who can just take you out on a weekend, you'll save a huge amount if you go out to a Costco or a Food Basics or something like that. Uh, but I'd say you can make do in like 300 to $500 a month on food, right? If you really want to. And then of course the sky is the limit, you can spend 500 a week if you want to. Uh, but yeah, that would be my rough estimate. So I'd say bottom line, let's say you spend 600 on rent, another 100, and like about 1,000, 800 to 1,000 is if you're uh really pushing yourself to save money. You can make do in about 800 to 1,000 a month. I know people who have. Or you can like go all the way to 2-3 grand a month. Okay, let me put it this way: to be really comfortable, to not have to really struggle, if you can spend about 2 grand a month on living expenses, you'll be living really comfortably. But I'd say if you're spending less than like 800, 900, you'll probably hate your life. uh so yeah, I hope that was the kind of answer you're looking for.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And a shout out in the chat for the great information. So thank you very much for that. Annan, there you go. Kind of perfect. The circle is complete. An Algonquin Times article about how you can be thrifty on food. So another one to add to the link collection. That was perfect. Julie closed the loop perfectly on that one. Got some more questions. What criteria are used to decide 1 or 2 years for the 2-year diploma?
Well, you apply. If you have a degree, you can apply for the 1 year. You'll talk to me, and by the end of it, either if your situation allows you to take the 2, you'll be like, oh, yes, that's a good decision for me. If you are not in a position to do it, you could carry on with the application process and put forward your documents, and we'll see how that goes. So, and it's the same diploma. It's just that you're entering the program in level 3. It's just, if you can imagine, you've missed a year of foundation. And in a previous time when our program was, I won't say exclusively, because we've always had, you know, video and photography and some audio components, but when our program was far more focused on producing a printed newspaper and we laid it out, you know, and all of these things, we were just more writing focused. And so it was an easier transition for some of our, if you had your you know, a business degree or an English degree or a poli-sci degree, to slide into level 3. Now, because of all of the different technical aspects of what we do, it's just a far bigger ask of our students, which is why we love it, but we will be wrapping it up after the end of this year.
Thank you. It might be time to talk about the mythical level 4. The tuition details on the website are split semester-wise, but all references in this session are on levels 1, 2, and 3. How did the 3 levels map with the 4 semesters?
4th semester is, so what happens is you arrive level 4. For the first 7 weeks of your level 4, you have coursework. You have your final course offerings. So we like to think of this, not, I won't say as a finishing level, but it's, it's that final spit polish prep before we enter field placement and the workforce. So the first 7 weeks of field placement, or excuse me, first 7 weeks of level 4 are coursework. The final 6 weeks are your field placement, more or less. Some start a little earlier, some start a little later, but that's generally how it goes. And then we have a reunion class, week 7. Throughout your 7-week period, you are you're placed, and we always like to call this sort of the way journalism runs its field placement. It's a bespoke program or a bespoke experience, meaning we are going to tailor your field placement experience to you. So what is it you'd like to be when you grow up? What are your short and longer term career goals? So you are not left on your own to wander the streets calling, will you host me for my field placement? We will work with you with your goals, and then you will go on interviews. You will meet our hosts. So one of the things we're blessed, and I won't say cursed with, but blessed with, is we have a very, very deep field placement host list of folks who've taken our folks in the past. And that can be from everywhere from, I won't say obvious, but the ones you'd think of, whether it's CBC or Global or CTV or the Globe and Mail, community newspapers in our area, digital publications all over the country. Or it's in more non-traditional, but in storytelling capacities. So on the communication side, with specific sectors, specific organizations who want journalistic skills. So it's a really, really deep list. So I've digressed, Sean, into talking about field placement, which often is a popular topic at these events. I don't know if any of you have thought that far ahead to your field placement portion, but so that's what level 4 is. So level 4, half of it is coursework, like you're in the classroom with your classmates and then we prepare, you step out, you do your field placement, and then we return and have a debrief. What happened? What did we learn? Who are we? And then off you go into the wild to work.
Thank you very much. Questions, more good ones coming. Does the Algonquin Times newspaper just pertain to events and what's happening on campus, or is it both community-based and campus-based?
So good. Love this question. I'm going to take it, but I think maybe Jessica and Adel may have some things to add, but really quickly, it is the Algonquin Times is a community newspaper, community publication, community entity brand for students, faculty, visitors to any of our 3 Algonquin College campuses in Pembroke, Perth, or at Woodruff, neighboring community members who live ringing any of those campuses, as well as alumni, as well as folks who host Algonquin College field placement students, as well as employers. So if there's an issue of interest, if there's something happening with, if there's a transit issue, if there's a transit story, if there's smoke blowing in from wildfires on the northern part of Canada that's affecting Algonquin College community members, That's a story for the Algonquin Times. So everything is through the lens of our audience. So is it just stories about advertising students' bake sales? Yes, but it can also be stories about just about anything that touches a member of our Algonquin College family. Did I get that right, Adel or Jessica? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's close enough. If you could look at it at another way, think of your audience and think of what would be useful to them. And our paper is not just read by college faculty and students. It's also put out and people around the college, that entire community, that neighborhood also picks up a paper and reads it. So if it's not about whether an event happened there or not, but whether it would be of interest to them. For example, when the trucker protest happened, we did a story about the trucker protest, even though it happened far away from college, but we based it around how it was affecting the lives of people coming to college. What were the kind of transit woes people were having? What were people thinking about it? So it is essentially a community paper. It is a paper for the Algonquin community, the around the college. But if you can find an angle that makes an event or a news issue that happened a little further away, if you can find a way to make it relatable to the audience, then yeah, it's fair game.
Anything that you do for CKDJ, generally it's a similar type of idea. Well, first of all, we cover Ottawa's best new music. That's the mandate of the station. But when you do journalism on CKDJ, we're always asking that you think about something that will be of interest to a college audience. So, you know, I don't need to repeat what Julie and Adel just said, but, you know, if you're a college student and you're interested in it, that's usually enough of a reason to talk about something. So that's kind of how we you know, set the bar there. I see the question in the Q&A about what programs we'll need to run on our computers. The Creative Cloud Adobe suite is included with your tuition. So that's everything from, you know, Premiere Pro to Adobe Audition, which is what we use for the audio editing. So those common classes that you'll be taking with your friends in radio and TV, you know, you'll be using the same products that they use in their programs, which are all part of this Adobe Creative Cloud suite that your tuition covers you for while you're a college student.
I feel like I just need to throw in a quick plug. I'm sorry to chat. I'm trying to put it in the chat, but I think it's for all of us. Poor Glue. I want to put in a quick word for Glue. So Glue, to Kayla's great question about the Times, it also applies over there. So it's an interesting thing. It's coming up on its 20th birthday, and that brand is like a bit like CKDJ. It's specifically for students in Ottawa. So students at Carleton, U Ottawa, Algonquin, but also at private tattoo schools, at a hairdressing school. Like the idea is if you, and at any age as well, if you are someone who your group is, you declare that you are a student, and that can be a part-time or full student. If you're an 18-year-old student or a 78-year-old student, if you're someone who is a student and that's where you are in your life, the idea is that it's content for you. So, and that can happen anywhere around town. So with the two brands and, you know, our collaborations with CKDJ too, we also, I should mention too, we had to pause it for the pandemic period, but we also contribute to a magazine for the OCAA, which is our Ontario sport community. So it's a magazine called Sweat, and it's a sport publication we produce jointly with Humber Journalism. And so for our students who are excited about sports journalism, it's all about varsity sports. So we're always looking for different brands, ways for our students, our storytellers, to have different places to practice their journalism. Ramble over.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad we got that in there, especially because looking at the time, we have about 10 more minutes. So this is, like we said, I know we've dropped a lot of information, but if there's anything out there that before we sign off that you want to know, that you want to ask, this is a great opportunity to do so. Just trying to think if there's anything. I can kind of open this up to the group too. If there's anything you feel that we have not yet touched on that you want to make sure we get out there before we sign off. I'll kind of open the floor because I don't want to miss anything.
While you think of your next questions, I just wanted to say thanks for coming out, everybody. And I've put my email address in the chat there. If you have any questions about broadcasting, radio, and podcasting, send them my way. Otherwise, I hope to see you in first semester, fall 2022, for a fun experience at Algonquin College.
I'll also mention too that Jessica and I will be at a session specific to broadcasting, radio, and podcasting next Tuesday, the 14th.
I believe so, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
At 3 o'clock.
Yes.
So what I'll do is I'll post a link to register there, so you can come and hear us directly address that program as well. And while I'm doing that, I will once again open the floor to anyone who feels like there's something you gotta get out there, something that you want to make sure students know.
If there's one thing that I think students should know is that, and I'm not trying to dissuade anyone, I just want people to be aware when you join the course that it is a time-intensive course. It is not a difficult course, but it does demand time from you. So you need to get time management on from day one, or it will just pile up, and then those last month for you will be complete hell. So when you get into a course like this, especially this one, is that just be aware that yeah, it's going to take up a lot of your time. You will learn a lot, and like I'm halfway done with it. Just going back to what you started off with, you will see a very noticeable difference. You won't even have to wait for others to point it out to you. And this course will make you very annoying to your family. They will hate you because you'll suddenly become so detail oriented. You'll become that annoying family member that people hate having a conversation with at dinner. But worth it. Definitely worth it.
I think a question did just pop into the Q&A that ties a little bit to what you were saying. I have 2 jobs, both are part-time. Is it hard to manage a work/school life balance?
Yes, it is, but it's not impossible because we have a lot of people in class who are doing part-time jobs. Yeah, people do it, but it's possible. But at that point, your time management game has to be really on point. It's possible. And like I said, right, it's not just one person doing it in class. I'd say about 40% of our class is doing part-time jobs while doing the program, and the ones who manage the time well are sailing through, and the ones who don't have struggled a lot through it. So definitely doable. It's just that if you end up doing this program, just be aware that you have to manage your time, and you have to manage it from day one. Like don't push off assignments or projects to a later date. Just do it as soon as it's assigned.
I'm just laughing that should maybe be, Dan, our new program slogan for journalism. You know, the journalism program, it'll make you annoying to your family members. Like that'd be like on our t-shirts or something. I don't know if that's a big sell, but yeah.
As the marketer, I'm all for it, because if there's anything that's going to spur people going, what does that mean? It's like, well, come on over. Let's talk all about it. That would be perfect.
Want to annoy your family members? This is where to hang out. Awesome. So funny. Oh, you got it. You know what we're talking about, Kayla? Perfect. So carry on. Dan, do you think you've missed anything that you think we should mention?
Yeah, that was my thought as well. I was like, you know what? With 5 minutes left, why are we not making Dan say more words?
Brahim has his hand up. I don't know if that's if we want to go there. You might think about it as being a good fit if you're already annoying to your relatives. Then you know that you'll fit in just fine. So might work for you.
I did see a comment in the chat about sharing the recording. Yes, I don't know if everyone can see it, but there is the recording light is on. So it seems like everything worked okay there. So knock on, this isn't wood, but hopefully this stainless countertop works the same way, that the recording is fine, so that we can put it up on our YouTube channel, and we'll send it out to all the registrants, both who attended and were not able to make it, so that they can get, if you want to go back, hear anything you missed, or just revisit the roller coaster ride that this session provided one more time, you will have the option to do so. And with 5 minutes remaining, I think we're just kind of looking at the wind down, but thank you all. I'm seeing lots of thank yous in the chat, which is awesome. I'm glad that everyone who came out was able to get the information that they wanted, and perhaps that much extra as well, to help make your decision in the fall. And actually, I don't know if we ever said it, but we have a winter intake too. So if you're not quite ready to get started in September, we have a January intake as well. That is
a little note on the January intake, though, that we always want to make sure it's nice and clear to everybody. So if you decide that September doesn't work for you, but level 1 January does, fantastic. The wonderful thing about it is another option. And it can be wonderful too. It's an expedited. So what happens is you do your level 1 in the winter, getting in January, you do your level 2 spring summer. So right now we have a spring summer cohort studying away, working away. You do your fall, level 3, level 4 in the winter. So it means you don't have a traditional term off between your 2 terms. So you go 4 terms in a row. For someone who is just in a hurry, or just they would like to get to their diploma, they're not interested in taking that break, it is a really nice option.
And if you want to see that laid out visually, we do have, I think the newest one is uploaded. Maybe I might have a couple seconds here to go check. There's a visual breakdown that shows, based on what semester you're starting, how your progression will go, when there is a break, when there isn't a break, and when you graduate, depending on whether you started in fall or in the winter. So you can see it, see it in that sense, and get an idea of what you're looking at depending on when you want to get started. I think, yeah, we're closing it out. Last call, I guess, if you got to.
Well, there's one last question. I just don't know offhand, and maybe you do. The last date for the fall intake, like August? I don't know. Like
last date to apply?
Last date to apply? Like, I don't know when that is.
Dan, maybe.
For international applicants.
Okay.
Okay. Let's check for you here.
Because I know typically, I think we it's like 5 or so business days after the start of the semester that we're still letting people into the program.
No, but if I remember correctly,
first.
The application dates for international students is a lot earlier. I remember it was the last date for me when I applied was Jan or late Feb, something like that. So yeah, because I know it's a lot earlier for international students.
I think the general idea is, if you do want to apply as soon as you can. We're June 8th, so we're about 3 months exactly, almost, to start a term. So don't roll the dice. If you do intend to get started, get that process going absolutely as soon as you can. With that, we are drawing to a close. Thank you to everyone who attended. Thank you to Julie for coming out. Jessica had to go, but thank you to Jessica. As I said, we'll be together again at the Tuesday session for radio. Thank you to Adil. That was fantastic. It's always great to get the student perspective, and you gave a ton of fantastic information. So thank you very much. And thank you to Dan for coming out. And now I got to put the pressure on somebody. We got to, if there's one thing that I don't tolerate at my info sessions, it's not closing strong. So we got to close strong with some words of wisdom. Whoever wants to do it. I'm staring at Julie. It doesn't have to be Julie. I'm staring.
I'm sorry. Words of wisdom. I just want to wish everybody a great June and July and August. If we see you this fall, that would be grand. If we see you in the winter, that's also excellent for our winter intake then. If you have questions, I have thrown my email address into the chat. finishing strong and wise. I don't know, if you are not yet annoying to your family members with your questions, maybe keep practicing. Practice on strangers. Bring that curiosity and those annoying questions with you wherever you go. Is that a good message to end on? I do love
I think
it.
so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, we'll work with it.
I'm just 10 out of 10 in the chat, and I would agree. Banger ending.
Awesome. Thanks for hosting us,
Good night,
John. That's
everyone.
great. Bye, everyone. See you later. Have a great day or evening.